stormy night, Shaquille approaches the doors of the Monte Carlo Casino in Monaco with great uncertainty. Of course, he is not alone. With him, as always, is his head of security, Simon Wade, and his short-tempered friend, Grant Lancaster. Simon repeatedly asks Shaquille if this is something he really wants to do, and Shaquille replies, "No, this is something I have to do." Simon just shakes his head. He knows when Shaquille's mind is made up, there's no turning back. Shaquille checks his comm systems to make sure Jane, his artificial intelligence, is active and coherent. He then makes sure his two associates are also linked with Jane in their earpieces, and everything is a go from there. Now it is showtime. But this is not any show per se. This is a meeting of the 5 biggest crime families in all of Europe, and Shaquille is requested for it. First of the 5 family members hails from Russia, Vladimir Yashin, the oldest living member of all the crime families in Europe. His story is like no other. He survived 47 assassination attempts, only being injured just once. A car bomb incident outside his estate in Saratov in '98. The next member represents Italy, Carmine Moretti. He and Shaquille have a business relationship, so he was essential in gathering everyone for this crucial meeting. Moretti actually resides in Miami, but travels back and forth to Italy when his schedule allows it. Carmine's net worth is reportedly at $9 billion, but don't tell the IRS that. In 2008, he was acquitted of tax evasion charges when he was somehow able to prove that his restaurant was the highest earning restaurant in all of the U.S. He plans on opening one in each state in the coming years. Next up is the Portuguese crime family of the Acostas, and this is where it gets a little interesting. They'll be represented by mob princess and an old lover of Shaquille's, Maria Acosta. She's eager to prove herself at the young age of 25, and this meeting is their opportunity. So says her father. In Greece, we have the Paulus crime family. They'll be represented by the godfather himself, Stavros Paulus II. Stavros is known to be kind-hearted through the years, but is not afraid to show the demon he keeps under wraps. He has also been in and out of prison as a youth, but now tries to steer the younger generation to a better life. A little hypocritical, if you ask me, but nonetheless, let's get to the last family member. And of course, he hails from France. Adrien Arquette, the 30-year-old playboy who recently took over his father's empire after his tragic but mysterious death. Was it his dad's old age catching up to him, or was it something more devious? Adrian thinks someone inside the organization poisoned his father, and he's made it his mission to find out. Nonetheless, rest in peace, Frank Arquette. Shaquille enters the casino with his friends, and they are met by a doorman that resembles a giant. They are thoroughly and aggressively searched. Simon's firearm is confiscated, not to the trio's liking. They have never been to a mob-style meeting before, so they don't know what to expect. On the way to the basement to meet up with the families, Jane tries to calm their nerves, telling them that she will monitor everyone's vitals that are present in the room and warn them of any potential danger. Jane has always thought you can always tell someone's intentions by just knowing what their vitals are. And she's never been wrong, not even once. When they reach the basement, they see nothing but dark shadows, but across the dark room is a round table with a spotlight shining above it. They're escorted to the table and are properly seated. The trio converse and are confused as to why they're the first ones at the meeting. The next moment, each member of the family steps out of the shadows, each with a few bodyguards, and they are heavily armed. Shaquille feels a little anxious in his seat, while Grant clenches his fist, waiting to go to war. Jane urges the trio not to make any hasty action because their extravagant entrance is nothing more than a mere tactic to frighten them all. Simon tries to get Grant to settle down, and he is successful. The mobsters take their seats, and the meeting commences. "How's everyone doing tonight?" Shaquille asks as he looks around the table. "Skip the pleasantries," Vlad yells as he takes a pull of his lit cigar. "Don't waste any more of our time and tell us what you want, and it better be worth it." Vladimir and Shaquille stare each other down, and Maria decides to try and cut the tension. Now, settle down, Vlad. I'm sure whatever it is Shaquille has for us, it'll be more than worthwhile. Maria says as she winks at Shaquille. It better be, or I'll have him fitted for some cement shoes. Size 12, right? Vlad says as he smiles in Shaquille's direction. Shaquille chuckles the threat off, but Simon doesn't take the threat too lightly. He asks Yashin to repeat himself, and they exchange no war words, and that leads to guns being drawn on the Russian side until Carmine, Stavros, and Adrian get a hold of the situation and settles everyone down. If everyone is done yelling, I'd like to get to the point of requesting this meeting, Shaq says and looks at Vladimir. Vladimir nods his head in approval. Okay, so a few days ago, I made a purchase of an art piece, and Adrian immediately cuts him off with his chuckling and speaks. I hope all you modest Americans die a slow and cold death. You purchased the infamous Mona Lisa for what was it? 600 million euros? Shaquille shakes his head and speaks. Adrian, the accuracy of the price is not important, but what is important is the reason I bought the piece. Shaquille pauses and speaks again. I thought the best way to get rid of money is to spend it, to expunge it, but I was terribly wrong. That just draws more attention. Shaquille takes out a document and passes copies out to each member. In 2017, my twin brother surfaced, trapped me in a cave, tortured me so bad that I lost most of my memory, and then took my place for months. Now, money is something I will never forget, so when I checked all the financial records, everything seemed to check out right except for one massive number. And this number was obtained only in a 5-month span. And I know it wasn't through the company. And frankly, I don't care. I just want to get rid of it. Shaquille, why not just give it to charity? Maria asked while putting her hand on his. Too risky. Shaquille says, even if I divide it, it will garner media attention. So you want us to do what? Launder the money for you? Adrian asks. I want you to hide it. Using your resources, make sure it can't be traced back to me until I figure out where it came from, Shaquille says. Okay, he wants us to launder it, Vladimir says with a smile on his face. We can do this for you, no problem, but what is the big turnout for? Why not just tell Carmine over the phone and him relay the message to us? What are you not telling us, Shaquille? Stavros says with a stern look on his face. Shaquille looks at his friends and then back at the members of the families. Maria thinks she knows what the secret is. It's the amount. He hasn't told us the amount, Maria says. The room gets quiet as everyone is waiting to hear the massive number. I need you all to hide a sum of $7.3 billion. Shaquille says in shame. Come again, Adrian says with a confused look on his face. $7.3 billion, Shaquille says as he raises his voice. Everyone in the room is shocked by the large sum of money and in disbelief, as they have never laundered such a sum in one sitting. I know it's a lot of money, but I know you guys do this sort of thing, and I will obviously owe you a great deal if you agree, Shaquille says. The members of the family all look at each other, and then Adrian speaks up. If you and your associates would like to step outside the room, we would like to discuss this over, Adrian says. After a long 15 minutes of talking it over, Shaquille and his friends are called back into the room and are properly seated. Vladimir speaks first. What you're asking us to do is no easy task, and it could bring us a lot of unwanted attention. But we will do it for you, honey, Maria says with a smile on her face. I appreciate it. I really do. I'll find a way to pay you all back accordingly, Shaq says. We know how you will pay us back, Stavros says with a grin on his face. We don't need any extra money for this favor we are doing. We just want you to take care of an issue for us. Carmine, hand him the folder, Adrian says. Shaquille, I'm sorry. There's no other way, Carmine says remorsefully as he hands Shaquille a file. Shaquille examines the file and notices a large picture within it. He remains quiet with a confused look on his face, but then shakes his head in despair. Boss, what is it? Simon asks. Shaquille looks at Simon and then at Carmine. He then breaks the silence. Why am I looking at this? Shaq says as he starts to get a little tense. You recognize a woman and a man, right? Adrian says. Of course I recognize him, but why am I looking at this? Shaq says as he gets angry. Simon takes a look at the photo and he recognizes the woman and the man and grits his teeth. Shaq, this must be Photoshop, Simon says. Shaquille points his earpiece so it makes it seem like he's pointing at his ear and says, it's not. He's letting Simon know that Jane has confirmed the validity of the photo and Shaquille's rage is starting to increase. Jane does his best to calm him down, so he doesn't do anything he regrets. After a couple of seconds, Grant speaks. After he takes a look at the photo, he recognizes the girl but not the guy, so he assumes he knows what's going on. This isn't the best way to find out this kind of thing, Shaq. I'm so sorry. You know there are much better fish in the sea. Grant says while putting his hand on Shaquille's shoulder. Grant, stop. That's not like that at all. Shaq says and turns his attention to Adrian. Tell me what I'm looking at. You know a picture's worth 1,000 words, my friend. I don't need to tell you what this is. You know what I know, and we all have a problem. And we need you to solve that problem, Adrian says, with this smile on his face. Shaq, this picture proves she lied about everything. I hate to not to give her the benefit of the doubt, but this looks bad, Simon says in disappointment. Shaquille agrees that this does look bad, but then turns his attention back to Adrian. You want me to take him out, don't you? Shaq says softly. Yes, no guns, knives, or any accessories, just bare hands, Vlad says. And if you fail, we will alert the feds of your financial conundrum and kill them both. And you know I will have no problem slitting that little bitch's throat, Maria says with a smile on her face. Maria, if you lay a single hand on her, Vladimir interrupts and warns Shaquille that he is in no position to make threats. He then asks him what his decision will be. Shaquille thinks it over for a few seconds and looks at his friends. Grant and Simon both give him different head gestures and as if they are at a stalemate. But Shaquille has to come and has come to his own decision.